Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Did you know the United Kingdom as we know it didn't exist until the 20th century? That's right. The union of England, Scotland, Wales, and Ireland into a single nation was a long and complex process shaped by centuries of conflict, cooperation, and transformation. Imagine a time when these lands were independent kingdoms, often at war with each other. Over the next few minutes, we'll explore the pivotal moments that led to their unification, how royal marriages, brutal wars, economic pressures, and political maneuvering slowly stitched together a powerful kingdom. From the Acts of Union to the struggles for Irish independence, and from medieval battles to modern diplomacy, we'll uncover the story behind how this patchwork of nations became the United Kingdom. Stay tuned as we unravel this fascinating journey through history. Long before the United Kingdom took shape, the British Isles were home to a mosaic of ancient peoples and cultures. When the Romans invaded Britain in 43 AD, they brought roads, cities, and governance that laid the early foundations of what would later become English identity. Roman rule, however, extended mostly over what is now England and parts of Wales, leaving Scotland and Ireland largely untouched by their empire. Beyond Roman influence, the lands were dominated by powerful and diverse Celtic tribes, each with their own languages, customs, and rivalries. In Wales, proud warrior tribes held their mountainous homeland. In Scotland, the Picts and later the Scots carved out their place in the rugged north. And in Ireland, a patchwork of clans ruled with fierce independence. Meanwhile, after the Romans withdrew, Anglo-Saxon kingdoms emerged across England, competing for dominance and laying the groundwork for future unification. These early divisions would shape the cultural and political identities that persisted for centuries, setting the stage for the long and often turbulent road toward union. The first major step toward forming the United Kingdom began with the unification of England and Wales. In the late 13th century, King Edward III of England launched a brutal military campaign to conquer Wales, determined to bring the fiercely independent Welsh principalities under English control. By 1282, after a series of hard-fought battles, Welsh resistance was crushed, and Edward solidified his victory with the construction of massive stone castles like Caernarfon and Conwy, symbols of English dominance. 2 years later, the Statute of Rhuddlan in 1284 officially placed Wales under English rule, integrating it into the English legal system but still treating it as a conquered territory. It wasn't until the reign of Henry VIII in the 16th century that this relationship became more formalized. Through the Laws and Wales Acts of 1535 and 1542, Wales was fully annexed into the Kingdom of England. These acts unified the legal systems, dissolved native Welsh law, and gave Wales parliamentary representation in London. While Welsh culture and language persisted politically, Wales was now bound to England as part of a single kingdom, marking a significant milestone on the path toward the creation of the United Kingdom. For centuries, Scotland remained a proud and independent kingdom, frequently clashing with its powerful southern neighbor, England. To counterbalance English aggression, Scotland formed the Auld Alliance with France, a strategic partnership that often drew the Scots into conflicts on the side of England's enemies. This rivalry defined much of medieval British politics. But in 1603, a turning point arrived with the death of England's Queen Elizabeth I. As she left no direct heir, the crown passed to her closest relative, James VI of Scotland, who became James I of England. This moment, known as the Union of the Crowns, placed both kingdoms under a single monarch, though they remained legally and politically distinct. The idea of a full political union simmered for over a century, eventually culminating in the 1707 Act of Union. England pushed for unification to secure its northern border and prevent Scotland from siding with foreign powers. For many Scottish elites, economic hardship, especially after the disastrous failure of the Darien expedition, made union with England seem like a path to recovery. Bribes and political pressure also played a role in swaying the Scottish Parliament. Despite widespread resistance among ordinary Scots, the Act passed, uniting the two kingdoms into a single political entity, the Kingdom of Great Britain. Though deeply controversial at the time, this union laid the groundwork for a powerful new state that would soon rise to global prominence. Ireland's path into the United Kingdom was marked by centuries of conflict, colonization, and deep-rooted resentment. Beginning in the 12th century, English influence in Ireland steadily expanded. But it was under the Tudors, and especially during the Elizabethan and Stuart eras, that English colonization intensified. Large swaths of Irish land were confiscated and given to English and Scottish settlers in what became known as the plantation system, displacing native Irish communities and fueling long-lasting animosities. Tensions boiled over in the 1798 Irish Rebellion, led by the United Irishmen, an alliance of Catholics and Protestants inspired by the American and French Revolutions. The uprising was brutally crushed by British forces, but it exposed the fragility of British control and the danger of rebellion so close to home. In response, British leaders pushed for a full political union to tighten their grip on Ireland. The result was the Act of Union of 1801, which merged the Irish and British parliaments to form the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland. While the union promised equality and stability, it delivered neither for most Irish people. Catholics, who made up the majority of the population, were still barred from holding political office, fueling continued unrest. It wasn't until 1829 that Catholic emancipation was finally granted, after years of pressure led by Irish leader Daniel O'Connell. But the deep divisions, political exclusion, and legacy of colonization ensured that Ireland's place in the Union remained troubled and contested. The early 20th century brought Ireland's long struggle for independence to a breaking point. Following decades of political activism and cultural revival, the Irish War of Independence erupted in 1919. Led by the Irish Republican Army, IRA, the conflict targeted British forces and institutions, aiming to end British rule and establish a fully independent Irish Republic. The war was brutal and bloody, with ambushes, reprisals, and civilian casualties marking a bitter fight for national self-determination. After 2 years of violence and mounting pressure, the British government entered negotiations with Irish leaders. The result was the Anglo-Irish Treaty of 1921, which created the Irish Free State, a self-governing dominion within the British Empire, similar in status to Canada or Australia. While this was a significant step toward independence, the treaty also included a crucial compromise. Northern Ireland, with its Protestant majority and strong Unionist identity, was given the option to remain within the United Kingdom, and it chose to do so. In 1922, the Irish Free State was officially established, and the island of Ireland was effectively partitioned. Over time, the Free State evolved into the fully sovereign Republic of Ireland, while Northern Ireland remained part of the UK. This division gave rise to the modern political structure we know today, the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Though it resolved some tensions, the partition left deep scars and laid the groundwork for future conflict in Northern Ireland, conflict that would continue for much of the 20th century. In the decades following Ireland's partition, the United Kingdom evolved into a more complex and diverse union, shaped by growing national identities and calls for greater autonomy. By the late 20th century, a wave of political change known as devolution began reshaping internal governance. Power was gradually transferred from the central government in London to newly established parliaments and assemblies in Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. These institutions allowed each nation to manage key domestic issues like education, health, and transportation, while still remaining part of the UK. This shift recognized the distinct identities and political aspirations within the Union, but also highlighted growing tensions about the nature of British unity. Nowhere has this been more apparent than in Scotland. In 2014, Scots held a historic referendum on whether to leave the United Kingdom and become an independent country. While the majority voted to remain, the close result revealed deep divisions, and the debate didn't end there. The 2016 Brexit vote, in which the UK as a whole chose to leave the European Union, reignited constitutional questions. Scotland and Northern Ireland both voted to remain in the EU, intensifying calls for a second Scottish referendum and fueling discussions about Irish reunification. Today, the United Kingdom stands at a crossroads, united on paper but increasingly defined by its internal differences. The legacy of union remains powerful, but so too does the desire among many for a future shaped by local voices and national identities. The question now is not just how the UK came together, but whether it will stay together in the years to come. The story of the United Kingdom is not one of quick decisions or peaceful agreements, but a centuries-long journey shaped by war, colonization, resistance, and delicate compromise. From the Roman foundations in England to the fierce independence of Celtic tribes, the union we see today was built step by step, through the conquest of Wales, political maneuvering with Scotland, and a deeply troubled relationship with Ireland. Each chapter brought its own conflicts and consequences, forming a union held together by power, persuasion, and at times, sheer necessity. We've seen how England and Wales were bound by force, how Scotland was joined through a mix of economic pressure and political deals, and how Ireland's union ended in division and lasting trauma. In more recent times, the rise of national identities, the push for local governance, and the aftermath of Brexit have all tested the strength of the UK's foundation. The key takeaway? The United Kingdom wasn't born out of harmony, but out of struggle. A union forged not just in parliament halls, but on battlefields and in the hearts of divided peoples. As the 21st century unfolds, one question remains more relevant than ever. Will the United Kingdom stay united? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the forces that shaped our world. If you enjoyed this journey through time, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts on the future of the UK. Do you think the Union will hold strong, or are we witnessing the beginning of a new chapter in British history? Let us know below. We'd love to hear your perspective.